And we say Sitaram to your listeners on Radio Jaagriti, 102.7 FM, our viewers on TV Jaagriti. Hey, those of you joining us home here in Trinidad and Tobago, regionally, internationally as well. Welcome to a special edition of Conversations right here on your number one radio and TV Jaagriti. Of course, at this time, you're accustomed to the program Straight Talk with our CEO, Mr. Lokesh Maharaj. But as we promised you last week, as we promised you on a Monday, when we had a no program, we have a special guest with us in the studio, and we're having a special edition of the program, Straight Talk. Of course, we've got with us Professor Peter Baofu with us in studio. Sitaram, and welcome to Radio and the TV Jaagriti.
Thank you.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Peter Baofu.
Well, I am an American author and visionary. I have written more than 160 books in all fields of knowledge, in the social sciences, in the humanities, in the formal sciences, and in the humanities. And I try to propose more than 128 different new theories and visions about the human future in relation to the mind, nature, culture, and society. Ultimately, for some unified theories of everything, not just one, but several of them. And I have been in more than 100 different countries around the world. And I do that intentionally in order to understand humanity on the ground, not just by reading a documentary or watching a film and all that.
So we're privileged and happy that you're sharing some time with us, that we can discuss a little bit about the topics that pertain to Trinidad in particular, but Trinidad in relation to the world as well. Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about crime, about politics, about education, about health, and as if I may, Peter mentioned to me earlier on, we can talk about anything, right? 126 new theories. You mentioned Sigmund Freud and Marxism, and in the beginning of these terrorists, they would have faced some kind of opposition or hesitancy in accepting. Yeah. In a short way, have you faced any of these with your 126 new theories?
Oh, too much. Not some. You said, do I encounter some? No, too much. Some years ago, I was giving some presentations in Washington, D.C., and I gave a presentation about my prediction of what I call the post-democracy and post-capitalism. And I received some hate emails, and then people will call me names. And more than 20 years ago, I made a prediction that China could one day become the most dominant power on earth, and the U.S. will decline together with the EU and all that. The reaction was absolutely negative, not a single positive response. But nowadays, no one talk like this to me anymore because it's become more and more obvious that China.
Obvious.
Yes,
that is what is actually happening.
Yeah, when I was writing my dissertation at MIT, it was in 1995. At that time, in my dissertation, I proposed that to you. I also proposed some of this. I remember that I'm not going to mention names. Some of my of the faculty members asked me to delete the chapter on this. They don't like it. When I questioned capitalism and democracy, they really did not like it. They asked me, "Can you get rid of this chapter?" I say, "No. If you get rid of this chapter, what happened to the rest of my thesis? I mean, this is you cut off the head, then what do you want me to do with the body?"
Do you think some of this opposition that you faced was probably because of location? If you had done these presentations in China, predicting that China would one day become the world superpower, that it would have been a little more accepting?
Yes and no. They may be a bit more listening to you, but they could be very skeptical. Because at that time, China was still very poor. Remember, when I was talking about this, it was in the 1990s. At that time, China was like, they started opening up. And I was a U.S. Fulbright scholar, by the way. And I did some research in the Far East, and I interviewed a lot of people. And at that time, people did not think about this at all. And they were too busy to to make money, to work hard, to improve their lives. If you talk about a future where China become dominant, they look at you, they say that you are not with us. Your mindset is somewhere in the cloud.
Okay. Professor, we're quickly out of time. It certainly was a pleasure having you here. And as you can tell, listeners and viewers, there's so much that we can talk about and certainly keep going on and on and on. I've got an extensive list here that I can just pull any topic from, and Professor would be able to elaborate on it. But once again, thank you very much for joining us and sharing this hour with us here on Radio and TV Jaagriti.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation.
So here's where we wrap up this special edition of the program, Conversations, right here on your number one Radio and TV Jaagriti. News at 5 is up next. See you.